Hello friends, welcome to my video. Surely you have known Vietnam, an extremely beautiful and developing country. But what you don't know is that in the past, there was a poor post-war Vietnam that looked very scary. Please listen to me tell about that haunting memory. In 1945, Vietnam was ravaged by famine. War, colonial exploitation, and natural disasters came together to create a perfect storm of hunger. Over 2 million people died in less than a year. This is the story of one village and a family struggling to survive. His name is Nam, a 35-year-old father who lost his wife and son due to famine. His clothes were worn, his face was gaunt, and he clutched a woven basket empty. The camera follows him throughout the village as he searches for food. Nam enters the small house he once shared with his family. It's dark and cold, the walls worn and the floor covered in dust. His daughter, Tao, only 9 years old, sits in the corner, too weak to stand. Her eyes are sunken, her cheeks hollow. Nam kneels next to her, and they share a silent, desperate glance. Nam leaves the house again, heading toward the nearby forest. There, other villagers scavenge for anything edible, tree bark, leaves, insects. The famine had taken everything. The rice crops had failed, and the occupying Japanese forces had diverted what little was left for their war efforts. People were dying, not just from hunger, but from hopelessness. But Nam knew he had to keep going. Nam digs through the dirt, desperate to find even a single root, but there's nothing left. The sun beats down, and Nam's hands bleed from digging. But no matter how hard he tried, there was nothing. The land had been picked clean. And every day, more people disappeared, claimed by the famine. The scene shifts to Nam on the edge of the village as he hears the distant sound of marching boots. A group of Japanese soldiers walks past, carrying sacks of rice. The soldiers' faces are stern, emotionless, as they protect their precious cargo. Nam hides behind a tree, watching them pass. The famine wasn't just a natural disaster, it was man-made. The Japanese occupiers had taken control of the rice fields, forcing farmers to grow crops like cotton for the war. The rice they harvested was sent away, leaving the people to starve. Nam could only watch his food, so close yet so far, was taken away under guard. Nam's hands tighten into fists. His body trembles with a mix of rage and despair. He considers approaching the soldiers, begging for just a handful of rice. But he knows the risk. Others who had done so had been beaten or worse. As the soldiers disappear into the distance, Nam is left alone once more, surrounded by a land that has betrayed him. With nothing left, Nam returned to Tao, but the weight of his failure was growing unbearable. Night falls over the village. Nam sits outside the house, staring up at the sky. The moon is full, casting long shadows over the land. Inside, Tao lies still, her breathing shallow. Nam holds a small pouch in his hands. Inside are a few grains of rice he's been saving, hidden away for this moment. Nam had saved the rice for when things got worse, but now, there was no time left. He cooked the last grains and brought them to Tao, feeding her one spoonful at a time. It wasn't much, but it was all he could give. Tao eats the rice slowly, her eyes tired but grateful. Nam watches her, tears running down his face. He knows it won't be enough to save her, but it gives her one more night. In the silence of the night, Nam made one final promise to his daughter, that he would never give up. Even if the famine took everything, it would not take their spirit. The next morning, Nam wakes to find Tao lying still. She's passed away in her sleep, a peaceful expression on her face. Nam kneels beside her, holding her hand, tears streaming down his face. The room is silent, save for the wind blowing through the cracks in the walls. Tao had fought as long as she could, but like so many others, the famine claimed her. Nam buried her beneath the old banyan tree at the edge of the village, a place where they used to play when times were good. As Nam walks away from the grave, he doesn't look back. His body is weak, but he's determined. He'll leave the village now, search beyond the hills for something, anything, to keep going. Nam was one of the few who survived the famine of 1945. But the memory of those lost, including his daughter, would stay with him forever.